Second, I will cut tens of billions of dollars in wasteful spending. I will cut investments in unproven missile defense systems. I will not weaponize space. I will slow our development of future combat systems. And I will institute an independent Defense Priorities Board to ensure that the quadrennial defense review is not used to justify unnecessary spending.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to look at an important issue. Who's really the ones colluding with the Russians? Was it the Obama administration and their deals to get top secret missile programs taken offline, only to shortly thereafter have them come up on the international weapons market? But from who, you ask? The Russians, of course. There is so much more to this story. You guys are going to want to stick around and watch this. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to begin by saying thank you to everybody who hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button. Also, hit the thumbs up button if you guys like this content and want to see more. Today, we're going to be talking about an incredible story. First of all, this is where we left off on the Q board. These are the latest Q posts. We've got up to Q post 3330. That's the latest Q post, and if you guys want to get caught up on the latest Q post, since we haven't had any new ones yet today, there will be surely new ones coming in the future. You should come back here, watch these last videos. That'll help you get caught up. Also, if you scratch your head going, what is QAnon and the Great Awakening, and what is this guy talking about? I encourage you to watch this video. What is QAnon and the Great Awakening? It will give you all the information you need and where to get started, how to find it, everything you can imagine. So, since we have nothing new here except an incredible story to tell, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into this story. So, this goes all the way back to over a year ago, where we were just talking about the fact that we have all of these things that Q alludes to that talk about missiles, fake incoming missile alerts, missiles being launched and then shot down, basically, in no uncertain terms being said there. This is a story that goes way beyond anything that I think any of us, at least for myself, I can say I've ever really thought of in the broader context, the more macro aspect of this issue. And that is talking about how the missile delivery systems were how they were allowed to get to Iran and North Korea, and how that's one of our biggest threats. And it talks about and Q's told us in the past, talking about rogue actors, right, who would potentially, hypothetically, initiate a missile launch in order to force the United States into a war conflict against whomever they choose. So, in order to tell this story, I think there's a broader story, or a bigger story, that needs to be told as well, and that is this incredible story that's been brought to my attention by certain people in the know, and it basically is detailing the fact that you have the Obama administration and his minions basically scrapping these very, very advanced missile delivery systems. And the one in particular that we're going to be talking about here on the channel is this NLOS LS system, and that's non-line of sight launch system. Now, what is a non-line of sight launch system? Well, it looks a lot like this, what we're seeing here on the screen. Now, this is a missile delivery system that can be stored inside of a storage container, and it can fire a multitude of different short to medium range, it would seem, ballistic missiles. Now, these missiles in particular are the kind that can be fitted with certain miniaturized explosive devices. They can be fitted with biological, chemical, and any other kind of weapon pack, even a conventional weapon payload system that you could imagine. Now, what you're seeing here on the screen is how the system actually works. It's self-contained within you can put it in basically a storage container, and using some different radar or mobile radar units, this missile delivery system can effectively launch I think a missile strike up to 200 miles away, and that's why it's called the NLOS, as its original design was called the NLOS, which is non-line of sight launch system, meaning you don't have to see your target. It could be 200, 300 miles away. I'm not sure the ranges and all that stuff, but I know it can deliver, it could pack a serious punch, right? And if you're watching this video, you're kind of noticing that they can be fed and put onto container ships, and they can be hidden in these containers. And that means, containers can be used on rail lines, they can be used on shipping, they go on the back of semi trucks. And this is a system that is meant to be basically, you could say purely offensive, but also I guess defensive in a sense. But there's a broader story about this technology. Now, what you're watching here is this Club K, which is a weapon system that was apparently developed and marketed internationally by the Russians. Now, there's a lot of information we're going to have to get through to understand this for more, with more clarity. But with that being said, I want to share one of the best sources for this information right now, and that is this American report. Now, the two people that wrote this, Mary Fanning and Alan Jones, did a great job. I encourage you guys to read this. I'll leave a link to this full article in the description, but I want to read you the first little bit of this article to give you an idea of what this means, how this weapon system came to be in the Russian hands and then have them selling it to our adversaries, and how this all connects back to things that Q has been saying for quite some time. But I'm going to start reading this article right here. It says, scrapping 13 years of development costing $1.1 billion, President Obama's Undersecretary of Defense Ashton Carter inexplicably canceled the Pentagon's revolutionary NLOS-LS missile-in-a-box weapons system in 2010. Though development of the NLOS was 92% complete, Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics Ashton Carter canceled the entire NLOS-LS missile-in-a-box program less than 1 month after Jane's Defense Weekly shocked Western defense experts with a breaking report that Moscow was now marketing Russia's own missiles-in-a-box system, the previously unheard of Club K container missile system. Russia's Trojan Horse Club K missiles-in-a-box system perplexingly bears a striking resemblance to the Pentagon's now canceled NLOS-LS. The Pentagon designated its revolutionary missiles-in-a-box weapon the XM501 non-line-of-sight launch system. Ash Carter's cancellation of America's NLOS-LS in conjunction with the arrival of Russia's Club K brought about a calamitous shift in the military balance of power that weakened the United States and empowered Russia. In the April 14, 2010 issue of Jane's Defense Weekly, Robert Hewson stunned the defense community with an alarming report revealing that Moscow was marketing the Club K container missile system at the Defense Services Asia exhibition in Malaysia. However, no one had yet seen or even heard of the Club K container missile system. This Club K is game-changing with the ability to wipe out an aircraft carrier 200 miles away, Hewson told Britain's Telegraph. Reuters subsequently reported on the Club K. On April 26, 2010, Reuters noted that Mikhail Barabanov, a defense expert at Russia's Center for Analysis of Strategies and Technologies, said that as far as he understood, the Club K was still at the concept stage. So here it goes on. It says, at the time Carter canceled the NLOS-LS, denying U.S. troops the combat capability it could have provided, all Russia had was a Club K booth at Malaysia Arms Show and a disturbing computer-animated Club K marketing video. So it goes on, and that was kind of the video we were just watching there. And it's saying, how did this happen? How could it possibly happen that a futuristic weapon the United States had spent 13 years and over $1 billion developing ended up in the hands of Russia and other adversaries while U.S. troops were denied the weapon their own country developed? Yeah, it gets worse. Russia's Club K became exponentially more dangerous and deadly to America when United Arab Emirates based ports container management company Gulf Tainer received a 35-year cargo container terminal lease at Florida's Port Canaveral, a mere 1,000 feet from U.S. Navy Trident nuclear missile submarines. The Obama administration awarded Gulf Tainer the lease without conducting the required Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States National Security Threat Analysis. The Obama administration bypassed, and to speak to that point more specifically, what ended up actually happening there was very fascinating. I want to touch on this. And what it talks about is the fact that this was a part of the research being done here by Mary Fanning and Alan Jones. And what it talks about is the fact that the CFIUS review and oversight process failed, probably in part because a Pakistani immigrant from Kashmir with a family of connections to the Pakistani intelligence service and well-known connections to the U.S. Muslim Brotherhood served as the CFIUS staff chairperson from 2009 to 2014. Just a little sidebar there you might want to look at. It says the Obama administration bypassed undertaking the CFIUS mandated national security threat analysis of the Gulf Tanner Port Canaveral transaction after Gulf Tanner became an affiliate of KGL, Kuwait and Gulf Link Holding. KGL is the troubled Department of Defense logistics contractor operating in the Middle East that has drawn negative attention from many quarters. The Obama administration did so notwithstanding that Port Canaveral is considered critical national security infrastructure and that Gulf Tanner is owned in part by a foreign government and a Saddam Hussein loyalist involved in weapons of mass destruction. So you can go on to read here where it talks about how the Gulf Tanner is co-owned by Emir of Sharjah of the UAE, United Arab Emirates, and Hamid Dia Jafar, a Saddam loyalist who was under investigation by the U.S. for his oil for super weapons scheme. Now, this Dr. Jafar was somebody we're going to want to pay attention to. But it goes on. I'm going to keep reading a little bit more of this article because I think it's really important to give you the context of what's happening here, right? And it says here, notably, Ash Carter had previously refused to investigate KGL's ties to Iran, much to the dismay of several U.S. senators and representatives. Within a few months of Ash Carter's cancellation of Enlos, LS Gulf Tanner entered into a joint venture with Russia's state-owned weapons conglomerate Rostec. Rostec builds Club K components and exports the Club K container missile system. Further increasing the threat, Gulf Tanner co-owner Hamid Dia Jafar is the brother, that's what I meant, obviously, of Dr. Jafar Dia Jafar, who was the mastermind and director behind Saddam Hussein's nuclear weapons program. And apparently, yes, Saddam had been trying everything he could to develop the nuclear weapons. And what a lot of my sources are saying is that, the common nomenclature you hear out there is that there was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Well, another theory that had been bouncing around for quite some time was that there had been weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and they had been removed very quickly after the fall. And there was actually protocols in place with help from the Russians and the Iranians to remove those weapons of mass destruction should anything happen to Saddam Hussein's grip on power there. But that's aside to what we're talking about here. And this goes on to say, Dr. Jafar Dia Jafar's masterpiece is the Iraqi miniaturized nuclear implosion device, or beach ball. Dr. Jafar designed the spherical beach ball to fulfill Saddam's request for the first Arab bomb. The U.S. government designated Dr. Jafar Dia Jafar an enemy of the United States and placed him on U.S. Central Command's Operation Iraqi Freedom blacklist as a legitimate military target wanted for capture or kill. The so-called Saddam tapes audio recordings discovered by coalition forces in Iraq reveal Saddam Hussein and his senior cabinet members discussing a scenario in which a nuclear weapon is placed in Washington, D.C., yet the blame would go to others. Dr. Jafar Dia Jafar was a member of Saddam's cabinet. Dr. Jafar was Saddam Hussein's deputy defense minister and senior presidential nuclear advisor. Now, this goes right back to what we were talking about here. Now, remember, this was a post we got in February from Q, when you had the Olympics going on and you had North Korea going and meeting with South Korea, and then the sister of Kim Jong-un sitting near Vice President Pence, and there was all this wild speculation about that. But what came of that? Well, what came of that was this basically this decrease in hostility from North Korea. They stopped doing their, after we started the negotiations and got further into them, they decided to stop launching missiles over Japan, which was a huge step. You can imagine the kind of things they were ready to do at that point. And this is an interesting thing to kind of read through when you read through the full Q post that we got here, where Q is asking us, why were they together? Why was, what occurred in Asia before the Olympic Games, and what does freed mean? And then it talks about how you have these, this theory, hypothetical situation where what if a missile was launched by rogue actors? What would be the purpose? And would it start a war? And how would the public understand this statement? The statement that if could you imagine if you're the president, you have to tell the American people, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this, but rogue actors, and I'm just saying hypothetically here, rogue actors, clowns, U.S. former heads of state initiated a missile launch in order to force the U.S. into a war conflict against X. Yeah. When you start digging on this, you kind of understand. And Q says, be the artist you know you are. And then this was kind of interesting because this is all the way back in February of 2018. And Q is saying, those who cannot understand that we cannot simply start arresting without first ensuring the safety and well-being of the population, shifting the narrative, removing those in D.C. through resignation to ensure success, defeating ISIS MS-13 to prevent fail-safes, freezing assets to remove network-to-network abilities, kill off the chain of command to prevent top-down comm communications organization, etc., should not be participating in discussions. Q. And that's what we've been doing. From day one, we've been disassembling this network that was initiated back in and under, allegedly, the Obama administration, and even goes back before that, because if you understand the fact that this was a 13-year program in development that just magically was scrapped as soon as Obama became president, and then the Russians are selling the same technology to our adversaries, then you start to understand the bigger, broader context of the game that we're in. And, for me, when I'm reading through this story, I wanted to bring this to your attention. I really am going to leave a link to this. I want you guys to come read the full story. There's so much more detail I'm obviously not getting into because it's a very complex and nuanced story with an incredible amount of information about these individuals who are involved. But let's just break it down into simplistic terms. The simplistic terms of this storyline outline the fact that you have individuals who are connected directly back to Saddam Hussein and his attempts to develop weapons of mass destruction, and apparently his success at developing some sort of bomb that then was later pictured. This is the same one, mind you, where they have North Korean leader holding this or standing next to a similar design of this weapon, where and if you take that in the broader context of this, you'll understand that this is an incredible threat to our country, and that's what we talk about when we talk about North Korea. Why would they want to do that? They were trying to. Iran obviously was trying to get the miniaturized technology and tried to get a delivery system for it. So this is what we're up against, and I really do believe that we are in the middle of an incredible battle that's going on behind the scenes for the fate of this country, and there are so many different actors and players involved with this at this point. But if you go to this article that Q gives us from a Q post that related directly to this, right? It's this post right here. And it's the 2011, and I'm going to read this post to you because I think it's important, but it says, 2011 shuttle program terminated by Hussein, U.S. loses space dominance. And it gives this Fox News article talking about the Obama administration knew about North Korea's miniaturized nuke. And it goes on to say, Iran nuke deal, North Korea nuke missile tech, SpaceX, NASA Tech 2, HRC special access programs, private server, connected, money, lining pockets, eye of Ra, left eye, marker, symbolism, evil, stupid, justice, Q. So when you start breaking this down and take into account that this was on Christmas, or on the day before Christmas Eve, December 23rd, 2017. And what are we being told here? What does this all mean? Well, at the time, it was hard to maybe connect all the dots, but now, given the information that continues to come out and these investigative reports like the one I've highlighted here, you start to be able to put together the pieces a little bit more clearly. Now, I'm always going to tell you guys to go out and do your own research, but look, let's start connecting some of these dots. You have the 2011 shuttle program being terminated by Hussein, and that in and of itself was exactly a part of what he had promised. When you read earlier you watched earlier at the beginning of this video, one of his main promises was to basically get rid of these missile technology initiatives and to basically take away funding from the military for the most part. And when you defund the military and you allow our enemies and adversaries to gain the technology that we spend over $1 billion developing over a decade's worth of time developing, and it's a small, easily transported mobile missile delivery system, you should be very scared. It's talking about the nuke missile tech right here. North Korea nuke missile tech. Where do you think it all came from? Iran was next. They're the ones who wanted this tech next. They're the ones who were going to be running around with these Club Ks and these miniature nuclear bombs and doing missile tests just like North Korea. And it's all part of destabilization. It's all part of creating an existential threat for people to rally against. That is that continues this excuse for basically globally inserting ourselves anywhere that we want. So with that being said, I think that this is an incredible story. I want you guys to share it. Leave your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about it. And I'm going to work on hopefully maybe getting some of at least one of the authors of some of this work, these incredible researchers, to hopefully come on the show and give you a lot more of an in-depth explanation than I really can in the short amount of time that I have. But I will say this, that there is an incredible story here, and I want you guys to share this. My call to action to you is to get this information out there. Hit the share button. The algorithms at YouTube are going to do what they do, so we have to do what we can to get this information out there. And this is meant to start a conversation about what if, and that's where I want to leave it. So that's going to basically wrap up a few things before we go. Obviously, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you want to help out the channel. Another way you can help out the channel is to make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you guys like this content and want to see more. Watch these videos, share them on your social media, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below, because I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this. And also, come find me over here on Twitter at JustInformYou. That's a great way to get connected, and we can have a conversation over there. Also, don't forget to check out justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where you'll get links to all the Q stuff. You get links to different news websites. You'll get links to different news articles that are breaking. And, of course, you get all the videos from the channel here as well, so you can go check that out if you're interested. And another couple ways you can help out the channel are both financial. You can come over here to Patreon. It's a crowdfunding website, patreon.com. If you guys want to help fund this channel and keep it alive, I encourage you to come here. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. Give as much as you can and know that you're helping create content here on this channel regularly. And if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, I have a GoFundMe set up as well, so you can go check that out. And I really appreciate all your help and support. Now, before we go, we have a segment we do at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For today's episode, I want to talk about a piece of scripture that I think is really important to share. It's out of Psalm 5, verses 11 and 12, and I just want to read this to you, and then we'll talk about it. It says, "But let all who take refuge in you rejoice. Let them shout for joy forever. May you shelter them, and may those who love your name boast about you. For you, Lord, bless the righteous one. You surround him with favor like a shield." And that's the message I want to put out there today for you guys. Remember that when you boast in the Lord and when you live a righteous life, you will be surrounded by God's incredible love and his protection like a shield. And that's my message to you, and I want you to share that message out into the world, because that's what we're being called to do when it says we need to shout for joy forever. It's a call to action for us as Christians to spread God's word out into the world, and no matter what, put God first above everything else and help others understand that they are saved, that their eternal salvation has already been bought and paid for with the blood of Jesus Christ. And that's where I want to leave it. I want to say thank you guys for checking out this episode. Obviously, like I said, links will be in the description. You guys need to go read those articles. Hit the subscribe button now. Now's a great time to do it if you haven't already. And if you want to see more of this content, there's a like button down there. You want to go click it. But I want to say that's it for me. Thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.